What choice would you make if you could actually see the energetic consequence of that choice? I read this in Anatomy of the Spirit by Caroline Myss, and it just blew my mind, and I wanted to make an episode about it. So with that, welcome to Unleashing Happiness. I am your host, Cecilia Hendricks, and this is the podcast designed to teach you all about changing your habits, changing your mindset, and truly making changes to your life. So I talk a lot about using the law of assumption very practically, tying it together with the way that your emotional intelligence and emotional regulation and nervous system all kind of come together so that you can create the habits that are of the person you want to be, right? So that you can step into the life that you want to have. You can learn how to control your own moods. You can learn how to truly start living a life that you truly love. You can create this life. And I'm just super excited to share this stuff with you. Coming from someone who used to have very little control over my own moods, I have really learned how to step into the person that I want to be by managing how I react to the experiences and the circumstances going on around me. That reaction is truly what's going to drive kind of the next step that you're going to have. So again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, if you're able to actually see the energetic consequences, you could see the path that every choice, every reaction that you had actually did to your own life, what choices would you make? Right? And a lot of this kind of came up to me because of some YouTube comments that I've been getting. I've had a user who is watching a ton of my content, which I greatly appreciate. And I understand that sometimes when you're in a state of, let's say, frustration and you can't get stuff to work for you, you may not even see the answers that are being placed in front of you. So I want to start with that to say, give yourself some self-forgiveness, keep working through it. If people are like, I'm telling you the answer and you're not getting it, don't get frustrated. Just understand it's your own personal perception at that time. With this user who keeps leaving comments, they are looking for rebuilding a relationship from their past. And they are really struggling to kind of figure out how to energetically match and feel good about this relationship and not continue on this really frustrating cycles. And this is exactly what ties into looking at your reactions, being honest with yourself, and questioning yourself a little bit more often throughout the day. If I make this choice, what would be the energetic consequence of it? And if I really think about it and I'm honest with myself, and it's no judgment, right? Just look at it and say, man, if I could just guess or I could assume of what consequences was going to have, what would it look like in my future? Does this choice actually align to being in a loving relationship? Does it align to being the best version of myself, to feeling good in my own skin, to feeling confident and loved and desired? What is this actually leading to? And the more that you open yourself up to asking this question in your choices and pay attention to your reactions, which we're going to get into a little bit more here in just a minute, the more you do that, the more you're finally able to see like, oh, wait a minute, this is not at all aligned to the type of person I want to be. This habit, this routine, this behavior, this feeling that I'm like dwelling in and just hanging on to has nothing to do with the person that I want to be. It's complete opposition. It's completely opposite of the way that I want to feel. It's complete opposite of the solution feeling that I'm seeking. And so often, really all that it takes is asking yourself the question, making it a habit to start checking in with yourself more regularly. So we all have emotional reactions, right? And even if you have worked on your emotional regulation, you are really in a good state, your self-concept is feeling great, you're really feeling good about things, you can still be triggered and have an emotional reaction. Our choice is not in controlling every emotion that we feel. It's not even about controlling every thought that you have. It is about learning to make a choice with what you do with them. How long are you going to stay there? What are you going to believe? Where are you going to place your attention? And how are you going to handle the feelings that you have? Are you going to retreat inward? Are you going to start doing self-sabotaging behaviors? And when you start asking those questions, what is my reaction? How can I start to pay attention to the way that I react to circumstances to understand where I currently am dwelling? So here's kind of what we're going to talk about today. How to use your emotional reactions to understand your current state. And please note that I'm using the word understand, not judge. We're not going to judge where we are. We're not going to be frustrated with our feelings. We're not going to be frustrated with our emotional reactions because that is also a choice. You're not making a choice to become the person that you want to be in those moments that you notice and have become aware of this behavior. Instead, you're making a choice to judge yourself and continue down that same spiral, which just really contributes to the procrastination of change, the fear of change. There can be a lot of things that are kind of bubbling that up or creating that feeling or creating that desire to want to judge instead of just learn and grow. But when it comes down to it, the key to changing your life is learning how to manage your moods. It's learning how to remain focused on the goal, the desired outcome, the wish fulfilled that you have in front of you. You may currently find yourself that you're like, I do the techniques. I imagine my desired outcome, my wish fulfilled before I go to bed. And then I wake up in the morning and it's like, I can't sustain that feeling. Or I feel really good until I drive to work and I have to see my crush at work and he's not talking to me right now. And I'm unable to sustain that feeling. I'm unable to not allow the circumstances going on in my life to not dictate the way I feel internally. And this is completely normal. I think this is kind of part of the learning process, is going through learning how to manage those emotions. And it's not denying your emotions. There is a big difference. And I had to learn this one myself, and I teach clients this all the time. There is a big difference from denying what you are feeling and your emotions currently and learning how to redirect them because you have learned emotional regulation. You have the emotional intelligence to make a choice on how to stay focused on this outcome that you have, how to say, this is for me internally. Everything happening around me does not matter. Internally, I am focused, I am managing my own moods, and I am moving forward. So if you continually find yourself in this cycle where you're like, man, I'm doing the techniques or I'm feeling really motivated and then something happens and I completely fall off, I can't stay focused, I'm really struggling, I'm obsessing over something, I'm not enjoying areas of my life, I need to learn how to really become someone that manages their own moods and focuses on the desired outcome and becoming this person they want to be, creating a life that they love. I do recommend that you check out my course that's launching on February 3rd. I have put it at a very affordable rate. I've actually gotten a couple of emails that people are like, why do you have this listed so low? But I want to make sure that it's available to everybody. I don't want costs to prohibit you from getting this information. Although in fairness, you can find all the information online for free. This is really set up to give it to you in a step-by-step guide so that you can kind of take away some of those hours of like spinning circles and trying to figure out how to put it together. It's really more of a very outlined process. There will be a link for that down below. It is called Manage Your Moods, Create a Life That You Love. If you have questions about it, you can shoot me an email. It's Cecilia Hendricks at Unleashing Happiness. No, it's not. Why do I always say this? It is Unleashing Happiness at CeciliaHendricks.com. Little side note, I thought about editing that part out, but I'm just going to leave it. I end up kind of editing out so many little bits that I'm like, blah, 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 because I keep just like either giving not the right email address or I stumble over my words or I just have some sort of struggle, but I hope you appreciate it in this episode that I'm going to leave it in there. So back to our topic at hand and your emotional reactions. The first step to making any kind of change in life is to become aware. So one of the things to do is to become aware of the reactions that you have. So let's say that you want to land your dream job, right? And then you realize that you've applied to 10 jobs and you haven't got in one interview. And you get an email that says that you're out of the running for the job that you really wanted. What is your reaction in that moment? What power are you giving it? So again, remember, if you could see the energetic consequence of the choice that you made, what energetic consequence would you assign and assume would be assigned? Although you can't know, right? We can't control everything, but it's just asking the question, Is it aligned to me getting that job or is it not? Have I just accepted this as the end and I'm going to move on? And think about it. Like, I have been turned down for jobs that I ended up getting at a later time, right? Like, either the person that they were going to hire ended up falling through, they, misplaced my resume. I have reached out to the recruiter and said, hey, I got turned down for this job. I'd like to talk about it more. I think I'd be a good fit because of XYZ. Ended up landing the interview, ended up getting the job. So there are other options, right? There's other possibilities. If you're not new here, then you've likely heard me talk about the power of possibility and just thinking, okay, what are the other possibilities in this? Like the ones I just listed for the job. Just because you get that email does not mean the end is here. That does not mean everything is over and it's done and whatever, right? But you have to pay attention to your reactions in that. And the only reason you're paying attention to those is not to berate yourself. It's not to put yourself down. It's not to get frustrated. It's so you can learn and grow and become curious within that moment. Why do I feel like this is the end? Why am I reacting in this kind of way? What are the other possibilities that are available to me? And I'm telling you, curiosity is a freaking superpower. Every moment of curiosity opens your mind to other possibilities. And this is why you pay attention to those emotional reactions. Because when you still have them to like a visceral, unable to calm yourself and focus, then you can say, okay, I need to focus a little bit more on my own emotional regulation. I want to become better with my reaction. Why do I feel so strongly that this is the end or it's not working out for me? And it just becomes an area of question and curiosity and opening up the mind to all of the opportunity that's available to you. And the more you do this, the more you create the habit of calming, reflecting, creating space, and looking for those opportunities, the more you're naturally going to start to find them. And the more that you naturally start to find them, the more that you have become more of the person that you want to be. You're actually shifting the state that you're in. You're shifting your identity. You're shifting your focus. You're shifting your mindset. You're shifting your habits. And it starts very small. This doesn't have to be I have to do everything right now all at once. It can be small stepping stones that lead you to the person that you want to be. And it all starts with managing your moods. That was the whole reason why I put that course together, is I wanted to make sure that people had a way to follow exactly how to build on your own emotional intelligence, how to choose an outcome that you want and truly work to becoming that person with laser focus and making sure that you are always focused on that end outcome, and that the things going on around you, while they may create like a little bit of a oof, that didn't feel very good, like that punch to the gut that sometimes happens, that you're able to quickly recover. And the more that you quickly recover, the more you come back to that wish fulfilled, the more you bring in those feelings, the more it creates that in your life and your brain starts to recognize it. It's absolutely beautiful. It's phenomenal. It's simple. It's not always easy, right? It is a learning process. And that's why I think having like a course and something you can walk through really helps, because when you have those steps of saying, okay, I'm going to start here and then I'm going to do here, and you've got a workbook and you've got journals and you've got, there's like an intention setting workshop that I do within the course. So once you have all of those and you're building on top of each other, you are truly teaching yourself and rewiring your brain to remain focused on your wish fulfilled. It's so remarkable. And I don't know why it wasn't clear to me before, but I did some other courses. I had some clients and I've also done surveys. And the number one thing that I'm hearing from people is, I don't know how to remain focused. I don't know how to not get knocked around by the circumstances of life. And that is what this course will teach you. So I stand behind anything that I charge anybody even $1 for. This is the one that I'm like, yes, I think this is it. And it is why I wanted to make it really accessible for everybody. So again, if you have any questions, you can email me. I'll do the right email this time at unleashing, I almost did it wrong, unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. To recap a little bit of what we're talking about today, you have a choice in everything that you do, right? Any moment you have a choice in what your reaction is going to be. The first step is to become very aware of what your emotional reactions are so that you can catch yourself and stop yourself from going down the spiral staircase of like beating yourself up or being frustrated. And instead, just get really, really curious. So if you can even spend the next couple days, even if you put up like sticky note reminders, I do this a lot when I'm trying to set something new or I want to try a new process. I'll put sticky note reminders so I remember to do it. So you may want to put like some up, like one in your car that's like, be curious, right? Check in with yourself. You can put one up on your bathroom mirror. You can put it on your refrigerator. You can put it on your microwave, your front door, whatever works for you that just gets you in the habit of saying, where am I right now? What are the choices that I'm making? What is my emotional reaction to the response to those choices? Right? So any choice that you make, whether you're going to say hello to somebody or act like you don't see them, there's a choice and there's an energetic consequence to that choice. Is that choice that you're making aligned with the person you want to be or not? When you wake up in the morning and you grab your phone and you immediately check your ex's Instagram to see what they're up to for the day, what is the energetic consequence of that choice? And is it actually aligned with who you want to be or not? And here's the next step. Sometimes you will find where you say, you know what, this is not aligned. Like I'm not behaving in a way that is aligned to the person that I want to be, but for some reason I cannot stop. And this is where it's really important to get very self-aware. Why are you preventing yourself from having this thing that you want? Do you actually want it, or have you convinced yourself that you want it? Are you scared of what this means, like of the changes that would come in your life? Is there something else that you're scared of? Part of that course also goes into this, like overcoming obstacles when you run into these things and you're like, well, why am I doing this to myself? No, it's not aligned, but I'm still doing it. That is really where self-awareness and getting more and more curious about why you are self-sabotaging. Why are you preventing yourself from having the things that you want? It all kind of fits together so that you can figure out, is this what I want? Am I convincing myself? Is there something I'm scared of? Like, why am I acting out of fear instead of love? There's so many pieces that go into it, but this is a really good starting point for you just to get curious, start to look at the opportunities, start to see the possibilities that are around you. So I wish you nothing but the very best. I hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your week. Again, if you have any questions, you can always email me, or if you're listening on YouTube, just pop them down below. I am always happy to answer. And with that, you can definitely catch more of my content by checking out my YouTube channel. You can find that either by searching up Cecilia Hendricks, or you can search up Unleashing Happiness. You can find me under both. I am going to be doing a lot more content that's about using the law of assumption practically, kind of like what we were talking about today, your emotional reactions, your mental diet, really leaning into this mindset that you're holding, the habits, the emotional and physical habits that you are holding, and how to change them. How can you show up better for yourself? So if you would like to continue your journey on self-discovery and self-improvement, definitely make sure that you go find me over there. And again, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you have a beautiful week.